This is a Black Nouveau web exclusive. I'm James Causey, welcoming you to our first of our series of interviews with elected officials. Our guest today is Representative David C. Crowley from Assembly District 17 in the city of Milwaukee. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me, James.
So tell me a little bit about your district. What are the concerns?
We have a lot of concerns. A lot of our concerns deal with jobs, making sure that people have access to good paying jobs, transportation, definitely, but also early childhood education, making sure that families also actually have access to education for their little ones. So it's a lot that we're doing right now to address those issues. When you're talking about many of the issues dealing with housing, many of the issues dealing with this employment, especially with Foxconn, even though I voted for it, it's a lot of things that we're doing. But I don't want to jump the gun because I know that I can go right on and on. So,
well, no, let's talk about what are some of the things you're doing.
So right now we're going to be doing some things around housing. We know that housing affects many of the people in the district, especially if they have a felony, because right now we can legally discriminate those who have a felony. So we're going to be doing some things to allow them to have access once they have served their time and they're done with their convictions. We're going to be doing some things related to Foxconn. Right now, we're trying to figure out what exactly is going on with Foxconn. We don't have a contract in place, but we're doing everything that we can to make sure that people in the city of Milwaukee, specifically African-American men and women, can have access to these jobs, not only just inside of Foxconn, but also the construction jobs while we're building this plant, but also the other development that may happen as we talk about their supply chain as well.
Now, we just found out recently or today that Foxconn will be located in a Racine County area. Will it be, you talked about transportation issue, how is a person from Milwaukee supposed to get to the jobs up there?
Well, we're having this conversation now. I met with the Department of Workforce Development, met with DOA today, and we know that we have to get people trained here in the city of Milwaukee, and we know that they have to get some type of transportation. There's about $20 million in grant funding that gives them the flexibility to put some seed money into something. We don't know what that looks like at this time, but there are ways that we can really focus on making sure that people can get to and from these jobs. But I think it's important not to just focus on Foxconn when we talk about transportation, because there are jobs outside the city of Milwaukee and outside the county of Milwaukee that have openings, but people here can't get to those jobs because we lack the transportation.
How do you create jobs inside Milwaukee? Like when you look at the old A.O. Smith site, that site is still vacant. How do you create jobs there?
Well, I think it's going to deal with partnerships. I think one of the issues that we have right now is that it's a lot of egos when you're dealing with politics. I think the Republicans are really upset with our mayor because of he's ran for governor. But I also think that we need to make sure that our local elected officials are building the relationships at the state level to make those types of partnerships happen. I know the mayor is going after Amazon, who's looking to make an investment, but it's going to be hard to make that investment just as a city. And there will have to be some type of partnership in place in order for that to happen at the state level, in my opinion. But we need to go find these folks. And I think that when we talk about bringing jobs to the city of Milwaukee, we need to actually go outside the state and find these jobs. Mm-hmm. But more importantly, we need to actually invest in entrepreneurship. I mean, we talk about giving people jobs, but let's give them the opportunity to create more jobs for people that live in this community.
Now, traffic is a big, transportation is a big issue for you. And you were talking about, I know you're involved in the traffic enforcement legislation.
Yes.
What's in that bill?
So right now, we're looking to, right now there's a ban on any city, village, anybody here in the state of Wisconsin to use traffic enforcement using cameras. So what we want to do is put a pilot program that will last about 5 years here in the city of Milwaukee. What it will allow is for them to mail a ticket to an individual only if they're doing 20 miles per hour over the current speed limit.
So let's go back a second. So will it be cameras mounted on like traffic lights or something?
Correct. There will be. So far, if you actually look up, there are some cameras there that just can't be used for this purpose.
Okay.
If we do use a camera for that purpose, there will have to be a sign there. The first 90 days will be a preliminary start. They wouldn't be able to issue out any tickets. Only after the first 90 days will they be able to do that. If they put a camera up in a new place, you will have at least 30 days before they can actually ticket somebody in that new area if they decide to put a camera there. But it will also go after those folks who are running these red lights as well. So folks who decide to stop and go in the middle of an intersection will be able to catch those individuals as well.
It's an interesting concept, but how do you determine who's driving the car? You know, what if you loan your car out to someone and they're speeding and they run a red light, who gets the ticket?
Absolutely. So we're having that conversation because it's going to be an issue of privacy, because it's okay, do we want to have these cameras taking pictures in the front end, or do we want them taking pictures on the back end? And I think that's an issue of privacy as far as finding out who is there, but we're trying to put in some stipulations to say that if you know the individuals that was driving your car at that time and they're willing to pay that ticket or accept responsibility, they can come and you can do something around that. But I think this is going to be more about responsibility and who we loan our cars out to, but more importantly, making sure that we catch those bad actors that are, driving their own cars this way.
Okay, let's talk a little bit about the state budget. It's going to have some good stuff in it and some bad stuff. Like, for instance, MPS is going to take a $20 million cut. We know about the $3 billion going to Foxconn. Tell me some more about the budget. What's good and what's bad for Milwaukee?
Wow. Well, one, we're not getting our fair share. We're not getting enough insured revenue. This is why you're hearing the conversation of the mayor possibly cutting our public services. So we're not getting our fair share when it comes down to that. We didn't put any money into the budget as it relates to early childhood education. But more importantly, it doesn't stop us from being the #1 worst place to raise a black child. And when you talk about what this state budget does, is that it only helps out the wealthy. We've cut more taxes for them and eliminate tax breaks for the lower class and middle class and low income folks. And so it's important, but also making sure that we are drug testing folks continuously. And so there's a lot that is bad about this budget. If I had to veto anything, it would be the whole budget, because this is not doing anything for the state of Wisconsin and specifically for African Americans here. Well,
we could go on and on, but I have to cut you short, unfortunately. But I just want to say thanks for joining us, and this has been a Black Nouveau Web exclusive. Thanks a lot.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.